There is a man I want you to picture. He walks into a room, not loudly, not a room full of people waiting to be impressed. Just an ordinary room, a dinner party maybe, a gathering of old friends and new faces. Thoughtful, he is 61 years old. His hair is silver at the temples. His hands are calm. He doesn't say anything immediately when he walks in. He simply arrives, and within 4 minutes, without raising his voice, without telling a single joke, without buying a single drink, 3 different women have turned toward him. Not because of his suit, not because of his car, because of something they cannot name, something older than language, something that every woman's nervous system is quietly, constantly scanning for. That thing has a name, and by the end of this video you will know exactly what it is, exactly how to cultivate it, and exactly what to say, 3 specific words that will turn off what I call the invisible man switch in a woman's mind forever. Now I need to say something to you directly, because you deserve honesty before advice. If you are a man in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and you have begun to feel like the world is slowly stopping noticing you, like you are becoming furniture in rooms where you used to command attention, I want you to hear this clearly. That feeling is not the truth. And that feeling is a lie that our culture tells mature men, and it is one of the most destructive lies ever told, because it causes men to do the very things that accelerate the problem. Here is the reality. You are sitting on an advantage that no 28-year-old man on earth can manufacture. And I am not talking about money. Although financial stability matters, I am not talking about a sports car or a tailored jacket. I am talking about something primal, something biological, something that the researcher and therapist Esther Perel, one of the world's foremost voices on desire and erotic intelligence, has spent decades documenting across cultures. The fact that what women are fundamentally attracted to is not youth. It is gravity. It is deep. It is a man who has been tested and did not break. That is not a motivational line. That is a biological symphony playing out in a woman's subconscious every single time she evaluates a man. Her nervous system is not asking, is he young? Her nervous system is asking, is he safe? Is he capable? Has he survived enough of life to lead me through mine? You have survived enough. The question is whether you are communicating it correctly. Today I am going to give you a structured framework, specific points, specific language, specific adjustments you can make this week that will fundamentally change how women experience your presence. I want to tell you up front that we are working through several key shifts today, and I need you to stay through all of them, because the one near the end of this list is the one that most men reject the first time they hear it. It is also the one that changes everything. It is the point that generates more responses, more pushback, more "I never thought of it this way" messages than anything else in this entire framework. So stay with me. Let us begin. The first shift is about the word noticed. The mistake most men make when they are trying to reconnect with their own attractiveness, especially after a long relationship, a divorce, or simply a long stretch of emotional numbness, is that they attempt to be interesting. They curate stories. They prepare anecdotes. They think about what they are going to say next while the other person is still talking. I understand this impulse. It comes from a good place. It comes from effort. But here is what a woman's subconscious is actually calculating while you perform. She is not rating your story. She is rating your anxiety. She is reading the gap between your words and your body. She is asking a question she will never say out loud. Is this man comfortable taking up space, or is he working to earn his place here? And the answer her nervous system arrives at has almost nothing to do with what you said. The psychological translation is this. When a man overtalks, over-explains, or fills silence with noise, a woman's subconscious does not hear confidence. It hears scarcity. It hears a man who does not fully believe he is enough without performance. And that belief, or lack of it, is the most contagious thing in any interaction. The fix is not silence for silence's sake. The fix is presence, specifically the practice of noticing one true thing about the person in front of you and naming it. Not a compliment about appearance. Not flattery. A real observation. You light up when you talk about that. There's something you're not saying yet, and I'm curious what it is. You're funnier than you let people believe. These are not lines. These are acts of genuine attention, and genuine attention, extended from a man who is not rushing, not performing, and not filling silence out of fear. That is one of the rarest things a woman will experience. It triggers something ancient in her. It tells her nervous system, this man sees me. Not what I look like, not what I can offer him, me. That is the first shift, from interesting to attentive, from performing to perceiving. The second shift is about the word patient. Here is the mistake. Men who have been away from dating for a while, men who are recently single after long marriages, men who have not been truly intimate in years, often confuse desire with urgency. They feel attraction, and they push toward it too quickly. Too much contact too soon. Too many texts. Too direct, too fast, in a way that might be intended as passion but lands as pressure. I want to be careful here because I am not telling you to suppress desire. Desire is not the problem. Urgency is the problem. And urgency is not actually about desire. Urgency is about fear. The fear that if you do not move fast, she will disappear. The fear that the window will close. The fear that you are running out of time. And here is the psychological translation. Women are emotional lie detectors. This is not an insult to men, and it is not a mystical claim. It is neuroscience. Women on average have greater neural connectivity between the hemispheres of the brain, which means they are processing verbal and nonverbal signals simultaneously in ways that most men are not consciously trained to do. When you feel urgency and you try to hide it, she does not know exactly what she is reading, but she feels it. Something in her body says, too fast. And her trust, which is the actual foundation of attraction, as Dr. John Gottman's decades of relationship research confirms, begins to erode before you have even realized anything went wrong. The fix is a single physical practice that will sound almost offensively simple, and will change your interactions more than any line ever could. Before you respond to her, before you reach out, before you make a move, pause, exhale slowly, let the silence live for 2 full seconds before you fill it. That exhale is not nothing. That exhale is information. It tells her nervous system that you are not chasing, that you are not desperate, that you are a man who is at ease in his own skin, and therefore safe to be near. Patience, worn as a natural quality, rather than performed restraint, is one of the most devastatingly attractive qualities a mature man can possess. She has spent years being rushed. She has spent years with men who were hungry in ways that felt consuming, rather than warming. A man who is genuinely patient, who extends time like a gift rather than treating it like a resource running out, creates something in her nervous system that she will not easily find elsewhere. The third shift is the one I told you about. Stay with me. Before I name it, I want to acknowledge something. This point tends to get one of 2 reactions. Some men nod immediately, because they already suspected it. Other men get uncomfortable, even defensive, because it requires something most modern conversations about attractiveness skip entirely. And what it requires is this: the willingness to be seen. Not seen in a vulnerable, confessional, oversharing way. I am not asking you to cry on a first date. I am asking you to allow a woman, in a real conversation, to experience what it cost you to be you. The weight you carry. The things that matter to you. The places where you have been broken and chose to grow anyway. The mistake is what I call emotional armor, masquerading as strength. It is the man who is charming and entertaining and completely inaccessible. It is the man who makes everyone laugh but shares nothing. It is the man who has confused privacy with protection, and in doing so has built a wall that keeps out loneliness and intimacy in equal measure. The psychological translation is everything here. Women, particularly women of substance and maturity, are not looking for a man who is unbreakable. They have met unbreakable men. Unbreakable men are lonely and difficult and exhausting to love. What they are looking for is a man who has been broken and rebuilt himself with intention, because that man understands the cost. That man understands love, not as a transaction or a conquest, but as a choice made every morning. Esther Perel describes this as psychological exposure, the willingness to show someone the parts of you that are not curated, not polished, not performing, and she identifies it as one of the most erotic acts between 2 people, not in a physical sense, but in the deepest sense of the word. To be known, to allow yourself to be known. There is nothing more intimate than that. The fix requires 3 specific words, and they are not "I love you." Those 3 words are used constantly, and often mean very little, because they are reflexive rather than intentional. The 3 words are, "I see you," not as a line, not as a technique, as a practice. "I see you," spoken at the right moment, when she has said something vulnerable, when she has revealed something she was not sure was safe to reveal, when she is performing strength she does not entirely feel, is one of the most destabilizing things you can say to a woman in the best possible sense of that word. Because here is what you need to understand. Most women have spent their lives being looked at. The experience of actually being seen, of having someone name what is real, rather than what is surface, is rare enough to be revolutionary. But here is the condition, and this is where most men miss it entirely. The congruence principle. You can say the right words and they will mean absolutely nothing if your body is contradicting them. Women are processing you on multiple channels simultaneously. The words are one channel. The body is another. The energy, what we sometimes call sexual polarity, the fundamental masculine quality of presence and directional force, is a third. And when those channels are not aligned, when you say something warm with a body that is closed, or you speak with confidence but your eyes are shifting, or you claim patience while your foot is tapping. She feels the dissonance. She cannot always name it. She simply knows something is off. And something is off is for most women enough to disengage. This is why I said earlier that these shifts are not techniques. Techniques collapse under scrutiny, and women's subconscious calculation is exquisitely effective at detecting collapse. What you are actually building here is alignment. The alignment between what you believe about yourself, what your body communicates, and what your words express. The most attractive version of a mature man is not a man who has learned the right things to say. It is a man who has done enough internal work that saying the right things is simply a natural expression of who he actually is. That man feels safe. That man makes a woman feel safe, seen, and cherished. And those 3 words, safe, seen, and cherished, are not my invention. They are what women across cultures, across decades of research, describe over and over again when asked what they actually want in a man's presence. Not wealth, not looks, not even love in the abstract. Safe, seen, cherished. That specific triad. And a mature man, a man who has lived, who has failed, who has learned, who has chosen to remain open, is categorically better positioned to deliver that triad than any younger man who has not yet paid the cost of understanding it. Your silver hair is not a liability, it is proof of survival. Your stillness is not passivity, it is power. Your depth is not something to apologize for, it is the thing she has been scanning every room for. This is the intersection point, where knowing becomes doing, where understanding becomes presence. I want you to do something before you close this video. In the comments below, write the word cherish. Just that one word. It tells me you stayed, that you took this seriously, that you understand this is not about tricks. It tells me something even more important, that you are choosing to approach the people in your life with more intention, more attention, and more willingness to be known. That is not a small thing. That is a radical act for most men. Acknowledge it. But I also need to tell you something you might not want to hear. What we covered today is only half the equation. Understanding how to communicate presence, patience, and psychological exposure. Understanding the 3 words and why they work. That is the interior architecture. But there is an exterior language that must carry these things into the world. There is a physical dimension to safe, seen, and cherished that most men have never been taught, and without it, all of this internal alignment stays invisible. The next video covers exactly that. It is about how to translate everything you now understand into physical connections, specifically, how to hold someone in a way that makes her nervous system go quiet. How a single embrace done correctly can communicate more than an hour of the most articulate conversation. It is practical, it is precise, and for many men it is the missing piece that makes everything else finally land. Go watch it now. Not because you need to fix something, because you deserve to be the man who walks into a room and without saying a word makes the room tilt slightly in his direction. That man exists. He has always existed. It is time to let him be seen.